Hello tankers, in a previous video I played with the Tiger 131 in World of Tanks, and we're playing in World of Tanks today. I'm playing with the premium version of the EZ8 Sherman, let me just read this out, the M4A3 76W, bit of a mouthful these American tanks with the long designations, but yeah, I'm going to play with this tank today. I'm a lot better with this one, and well, let's get into it. I'm just going to call it the EZ8 Sherman for the rest of this video. The stats are identical to the tech tree equivalent at tier 6. The only difference is that this premium version earns more credits and XP, and it allows me to fire gold a little more. Although often I don't bother with this tank, I try to earn credits with it. Although I have my first tier 10 in the game and will get more high tier tanks, I still prefer to play down at tier 6 and 7 and a few tier 5 tanks. I hardly play at tiers 1 to 4 because the challenge just isn't there. I have a few tanks in the garage for those tiers if I feel like a bit of low tier fun, but it's not often that I play that low in the game. This video will be as much about being able to contribute to the battle when you are bottom tier facing tier 7s and tier 8s. I will show you 2 battles today that I enjoyed to showcase this tank. It wasn't the best session in terms of my contribution, I didn't play well overall, but did a few good battles, and I won 6 out of 9 battles, so a big thank you to those players who carried me. The matchmaker is a stinker in World of Tanks and is something you're going to have to put up with if you want to keep playing the game. In recent months I have heard a lot of complaints in the comments to Twitch streams and YouTube channels about the state of tier 6. It wasn't that long ago when players were commenting that tier 6 was one of the sweet spots in the game, but things have changed a lot over the past year with the introduction of a lot of new tanks. Many believe that because of power creep with the endless tier 8 premium tanks introduced, it is now extremely difficult to perform consistently well in a tier 6 tank. This is due to tier 6 often having to face tier 8 tanks. I have to agree that it is difficult, but not impossible to perform and contribute with tier 6 tanks, as long as the tank has some decent features. If you have an awful tier 6 tank, then good luck. It might be best to play through to the tier 7 tank in the tech tree as quickly as possible, or just free XP it to unlock the tier 7 if you can afford to. The EZ8 Sherman, luckily, has some nice features. Let's take a look at the stats. As I stated earlier, these stats will be identical to the tech tree EZ8 Sherman. If you have this tank instead of the premium version, then you will have exactly the same playstyle and attributes with that version. So the firepower, not the best alpha with only 115, but this is made up by the nice fire rate. The DPM is nice for a tier 6 at 2191 damage per minute. Normally I would be complaining about the lack of alpha, but with this tank and the rest of its attributes I don't mind it. There are a few tanks in the game like that. The Black Prince, for example, different playstyle as a heavy, but a pop gun with only 150 alpha. But the tank as a whole is a side-scraping beast, and so I don't mind the lack of damage per shot. Anyway, back to the Sherman. Penetration is not the best at 143, but I feel like I don't need to spam the gold a lot. I'm firing so rapidly that I'm not too bothered if some shots don't penetrate. I only need the gold when I'm up against a heavily armoured vehicle such as a heavy or an assault TD. As you can see, I only have 2 gold ammo shells that can increase my penetration to 185. I really try to avoid gold on this one as I want the EZ8 to earn me credits. This will be something you'll have to think about. Do you want to earn credits, or are you more bothered about performance and 3-marking the tank? I'm so cheap with this tank that I've only got experimental equipment on it that I've picked up for free during events. So I've boosted mobility, survivability and dispersion and aim time when firing. The accuracy is not great on this tank, 0.37 dispersion. Not great, but it is at tier 6. It honestly doesn't feel bad, again because I'm firing quite quickly. I'm not minding so much that some shells miss the target. I don't feel that I'm being trolled by the gun. Survivability is not great. I've boosted the hit points from 900 to 960 due to the experimental survival improvement suite. There isn't much in terms of armour on the tank, but you can see that the turret has better armour all around, sides and back, than the hull. And this is a good clue as to how to play this tank. You play it hull down. You only expose your turret when firing at the enemy and hide your hull. You can do this by firing over rocks and boulders, or the carcass of dead tanks, or on hilly terrain. You peek over hills and fire, and you are making it difficult for the enemy to hit back as only your turret is visible, a much smaller target than the whole tank. Mobility is decent for a medium, good top speed, power to weight ratio and traverse. This makes it very versatile. You can push and be aggressive when needed, you can retreat quickly, you can relocate easily. The tank can also perform when in close combat with other mediums and even light tanks. This is partly why I think the tank is enjoyable to play. The concealment value is also pretty good, and you can use bushes for sneaky play and ambushing the enemy. I wouldn't camp at the back of the map with this tank, but you could easily play it as a support medium as well as a flanking medium. This is useful when you find yourself bottom tier, as you often will in the matchmaking. View range is not bad either, and I tend to get a bit of incidental spotting when playing this tank, so I'm definitely not playing like a light tank, but as I get involved with the enemy with normal medium tank play, I might pick up some assistance damage by spotting for my team. This is nice for those of you who will be trying to 3-mark this tank. I will show my 2 battles in the Easy 8 now. Before I do so, I just want to explain that there is a bit of frame stutter here and there in the replays. WarGaming being WarGaming makes things difficult by creating the replays in a format not compatible with YouTube. So the replays are saved in the replays folder. I then have to retrieve them and record over the replay with screen capture. So you have the Watts replay render of the video, then the screen capture render, and then rendering when the video is uploaded to YouTube. This is causing the stutter in the videos here and there, and I've noticed it on other Watt replay channels as well. My apologies, I'll try and do a bit of tinkering with OBS to try and improve the quality for future videos. First battle on cliff. So in a medium tank I usually set off to the middle part of the map. This is one of the few maps where I don't mind going to the centre. A lot of maps, if I go to the centre of the map, I usually don't last too long. As the Sherman doesn't have good gun handling, I'll make my way to the centre. If I'm in a medium that has a really exceptional gun, I might be tempted to stay at the back of the map with the sniping TDs, but I can't do this with a Sherman. So it's best for me to push up. The battle is where there's just one base in the centre here. I've forgotten which one it's called, assault or encounter. So I just want to make myself useful by staying around the centre here. I know that tanks are going to push forwards and try and cap at some point, so if I stay around here I can get involved. I don't need to cap the base straight away. There's no point in doing that straight away. You're not going to win the battle by doing that. Not on this map anyway. There are some maps you might be able to do that on, like mines. I just want to stay around it and see which tanks pop up really, and get involved. Plus there might be tanks that are moving up the hill. I might also be able to peek over, maybe take some shots at tank destroyers that might be sat at the back of the map. It's a bit risky doing this as I try and do it now, because I could get spotted and shot at. Throughout this battle there is a J-Panther parked at the back of the map here. I don't know that at the time, but he does prove to be a pain for me. I do get my revenge later though. So I take some shots, but no success there. So I'm just waiting around now to see who might approach. I'm also ready for any tanks that might try and flank. And we're just seeing who turns up. Apologise for the frame rate here, it does get a little bit choppy, but it should get better in a moment. So there's a tank approaching now around the hill, and I'm not really seeing anyone to shoot at the moment, but I'm just going to be patient and wait. Now someone is capping the base now, so I know there's someone around, and luckily there is a tank on the other flank, and this is where I can actually flank him and fire shots into the side. It's a Panzer IV, who I think gave up actually. He's probably made a big mistake. He's pushed forward down the flank and left himself exposed, and I'll take him out and get my first kill. So that's the beauty of being in the centre here, because you've got people that will push either flank, but you can wait for them and shoot at the tanks, and you can flank. I see that the tank is on the cap here. I have a go at him. Snap fire, didn't work, missed him. He took a shot at me and I bounced the shot. I now want to try and proxy spot. I can proxy spot him. I just stay on the base now to try and stop the cap, and I've proxy spotted and got some spotting there. My SPG got a hit on him. The only problem is now he's proxy spotting me, and I think it's a Skoda, isn't it? Skoda T40. He's now proxy spotting me as well, so I'm now vulnerable to SPG, and I get clips there. So I take the warning and I get off the base. I decide to move off the base for a little bit, avoid being proxy spotted, avoid the attention of the SPG. It'll take him ages to cap, so there's no point being on the base still to try and block him. And then I move around and get on the base again. The IKV on my team has just moved on to the base as well. I think he's just shot at the Skoda. And I've now moved on to the base as well. And then I just down here for a bit. I'm parked behind bushes. I'm trying to see if anyone at the back of the map, usually TDs, are sitting there, whether I could take some shots at them. I could have taken blind shots, but I don't want to get spotted. I don't want to risk it at the moment because I might actually hit any tanks at the back there. So again, it's a bit of a waiting game because I know tanks will approach eventually. And I'm starting to notice that the Challenger and the VZ44-1 on the enemy team is now winning the left flank. They've just destroyed the G destroyer, and I know that they're going to start trying to flank me now. They're going to approach me. Someone's already pinged on the map where they should approach us. I'm starting to get prepared, and I actually go hull down here. So this is where I'm talking about the hull down being the strength of this tank. You can see that there's a little bit of a ridge in front of me, so they will only be able to see my turret. I know that VZ44-1's probably going to come around this corner in a minute. Possibly the Challenger, but the Challenger is weaker in terms of armour. We've also got an Achilles that's approaching, and there's the VZ44-1. I managed to get hit. I'm actually flanking him here because he's exposing all the side of his tank. He's taken a shot back at me but missed. I've made it difficult for him to hit me by going hull down. The VZ44-1 has now reversed, gone into cover. I decide to take a bit of a risk here by getting rid of this Achilles. I know he's going to be a nuisance if I leave him there. I want to remove him. I get smacked by the J Panther who's sitting at the back of the map. I now know there's a J Panther there sniping. The VZ peeked out again. I take a lobbing shot, bit of a potato thrower there. Miss him, but I'm getting spotting. Have you noticed I'm starting to get some spotting as well on that VZ44-1? So not only am I involved in the fight with him, I'm also spotting for my teammates. I think the SPGs are getting some hits on him. So that's where you can get some useful spotting as well as your own damage. So the VZ44-1 has retreated. I'm still going to wait here. I know there's a Challenger around there as well. It's most likely they will peek around that corner again. The IKV-65 is also doing a good job. He's just removed the Bisotto. He did really well as well in this battle. So I'm just going to wait here in this position. I have this feeling like the Challenger will peek out in a minute. But I've got to be wary of that J Panther at the back of the map, and he does end up hitting me again, as you'll see in a moment. The E25 is coming across. He wants to help out. I'll just wait here. I've got this nice little hull down position. There is the Challenger. Peeks out. I take the shot. I get him. He takes a shot, but he misses because I've gone hull down. But unfortunately, the J Panther could obviously see some pixels of my turret. Manages to whack me again for 319. But I do get my revenge later. And this is the beauty of surviving and getting to the end of the battle, because I'm still in the game. I even get whacked by an SPG, which takes my HP down even more. But I'm still in the game, and I get my revenge on the J Panther at the end of the battle, because the Tiger 131 on my team is approaching that J Panther and ends up spotting him. So I'm just going to wait patiently. praying that the SPG doesn't hit me again. I'm just waiting, and there he is, he's been spotted, and he's facing the other way, he's looking at the E25, and I managed to flank him. The frame rate is not great here, apologies for that, but all I end up doing now is just farming the damage, and I get my reward, and at the end of the battle I get over 1,000 damage for myself, and also do quite a bit of spotting as well, so it was an excellent battle. And I got my revenge on that pesky J-Panther. And a victory. On to the second battle now, Oyster Bay. A little bit hit and miss for me, but this was a good battle. There's a little bit of choppy frame rate at the moment, but it dies off in the end, and the rest of the battle's quite smooth, so apologies for that again. In this battle, I'm up against tier 8s. I did have a better battle in terms of my own damage on the Paris map. I wanted to show this one because I wanted to show how you can contribute when you are 2 tiers down. And not only did I have tier 8s to face, I also had 2 toxic SPG as well, as you'll see in a moment. So let's just get past this choppy frame rate until I get into position. It will soon stop. So at the beginning here I take a big hit. The SPG managed to whack me one. As I move out here I'm spotted. I think there's a light tank in the centre. It proves to be the AMX 1375 I think. He's in the centre of the map, although he's not shown at the moment. He must have spotted me, and then the SPG starts doing what SPG do. And I get smashed straight away. Now, when I first started playing this game, I probably would have got salty about that. I would have lost my cool. I would have gone charging in and probably thrown my tank away. But what I've learnt with experience is just try and hang in there. Try and hang in there. Dig in. Don't throw your tank away, because sometimes you get your rewards. Sometimes you turn that battle around and you have a good battle. Even when you've lost a lot of hit points early on. You could be down to just a few hit points and still have a really good battle. You've just got to dig in and hang in there. And it's tough. I've got the tier 8s to face. I only actually have to face one tier 8 here because it's just the Scorpion on the enemy team at the back there. Other tier 8s are in other positions on the map. But it's still difficult enough when you've got SPG around. So this changes my plan a bit. I was going to push out further, but it worked out nicely because I stayed back a bit and I was still able to spot for my tank destroyers who were camping at the back. And a T-150 that's just got taken out. A heavy tank camping at the back there, but he's been taken out already. So I just think, you know what, I'm going to try and spot for the tank destroyers. I'm going to try and be useful here. I know there's a T-3485 and a Type 58 on the enemy team on that flank with the Scorpion. They're not going to stay at the back of the map forever. They're going to push out. The flanking tanks, they're not really snipers. So they're going to push out eventually. And I'm going to try and help my team and spot. And then I might actually get some hits for myself as well. So I'm just going to stay in this position. If I push out I might get smacked by the Scorpion. And here we go, there's a Type 58 coming along now. Now I don't actually get involved with this Type 58, I'll leave it to my tank destroyer to do the work. And this battle also shows that I'm quite disciplined at times, and I think this is something you need to learn. You know, sometimes it's best to be disciplined. Don't pop out when you don't need to. You can leave it to other tanks that are better equipped. The tank destroyers are doing a great job here, they're taking him out. I don't need to get involved, I don't need to throw my tank away. I could push out, but the T-3485 could be following that Type 58 and take me out, or the Scorpion could whack me one. So I'll leave it to my tank destroyers. I know the T-3485 will be following up somewhere. I just wait. Try and get a little bit hull down as well, peek out, stay in hull down as possible. Possibly can. Type T-58 doesn't pop out again. I was hoping he was going to peek around the corner at some point, but it never happens. With 3-2 down at this point, it's not looking great, but here it is, the T-3485. Gives me an opportunity, he's not facing me. I get my hit, I'll try to get a second hit on him, but I wisely go back into cover. Now, again, early on in my playing of this game, I would have probably peeked out again, tried to take another shot, and I would have got whacked by the T-3485. It's got more alpha than on my tank, so I wisely just stay in cover. And again, I'm letting my tank destroyers do the work. I've already just picked up a bit of spotting. I then let the tank destroyers do the work and take this T-3485 out, and I don't know why that T-3485 just sat there, but we'll take it, we get rid of it, and I get some more spotting. My focus is then on this light tank. If we can get rid of this light tank, there's a good chance we win the battle. The longer he stays in the battle and survives, the better chance the enemies can win. It's close on kills, but they are quite far ahead on damage. We've lost quite a lot of damage, even though it's 5-6. It's now 6-all as well. We're down on damage. I managed to get my first hit on that light tank. My focus is on getting rid of that. I can't go across because the Scorpion will take me out. I have to take this position, and I really want to try and trade with him. I'm willing to trade with this light tank. I wasn't willing to do it with the T-3485 because of the alpha. Although this has an auto loader, each shell doesn't have a lot of alpha on the AMX1375. It would be more dangerous if he was circling me and able to use all that auto loader, but he can't do so. He can't get across because my tank destroyers will take him out. So I'm just waiting at this point, and I'm trying to trade with him. I've already picked up a massive amount of spotting as well, and this is why this tank's really nice, this Sherman. I've just picked up a huge amount of spotting, so even if I'm not doing a lot with my own damage and getting lots of hits in, I'm picking up a lot of spotting. So I'm turning this battle around into quite a good one now, from a very bad start. But my goal now is to get rid of this light tank, and now I decide to change position a bit. I know those rocks ahead of me are going to block the sight of that Scorpion, so my plan is eventually to get into that position. I want to peek out one more time to see whether that light tank's there. I'm thinking about it. Eventually I do pop out, but he's moved position, but I know he's somewhere around the centre there. Take a shot, he's not there. So I move forward, but making sure I'm behind these rocks so that Scorpion does not have a line of sight on me, otherwise I might get whacked. So I think about it and then I make the move. I'm trying to spot this AMX 1375. I'm very cautious about it, as you can see. And yes, he does get spotted. There he is. And now I want to trade with him. Take a really bad shot, miss, but thankfully he makes a mistake by popping out again. And he does do, and I get the hit in. He does get a hit on me, but again I'm willing to trade. And then I'm looking for a pixel, because I know he's just hovering around there. He won't move out. I'm looking for a pixel. Can't find the pixel. And then I just adjust my position a little bit, push forward a little bit more, and there's the pixel. And I can take him out. And that is a crucial contribution, because that light tank could have won the battle for the enemy there. It was pretty close at that point. That was a key kill. Then I decide to move forward now, because my focus is on getting rid of the Scorpion. So I'm going to push forward up the coast. He will be parking behind the bushes most likely. I know the bushes where a lot of these TDs park in. So again I'm going to go hull down, trying to use the strength of this tank by just poking the turret out. Used a good gun depression and take some blind shots. And I did get a blind shot on the Scorpion here. It was only one, but it forced him back and I think he retreated. He was on very little HP anyway. Always worth taking blind shots, because you just never know, you might farm some extra damage from doing that. If you know a spot where you think a tank will be, whether it be a TD or a light tank, always worth firing blind shots if you can. So I don't actually do any more in the battle here, because this is where it's about farming damage quickly. It's like a competition with the rest of your team to chase those last tanks down, and unfortunately I just wasn't quick enough to get in there and farm that damage. And that's one of the things you have to think about in this game, and why it's all about fast pace now, about mobility and speed. That's becoming the meta in the game. And when you get such a one-sided game, it's all about farming that damage quickly as you can. I can't get to the Hummel that's at the back of the map. That's the enemy Hummel. You'll see him pop up on the map soon. The Scorpion takes him out. I then focus on trying to get across to the Tiger P and that Chinese tank destroyer, but again I'm not quick enough to take it out. There's the Hummel. The Tiger P is getting farmed. Chinese tanks there, the TD. He's nearly dead now, he's dead, and the battle's over. But I'm still really happy with that because I've contributed, I made some crucial contributions. I did some damage, it wasn't great, but I got a lot of spotting, and in the end a combined damage of around 1,300. I'll take that any day against tier 8s and a tier 6 tank. It was a good battle, and we won. So that's the Easy 8 in action. This is a tank I recommend for new players, as is the tier 5 before it, the M4A1 with the normal gun, not the dirt gun. You can play dirt guns when you have more experience in the game. If you're more interested in mobile tank play and perhaps with an eye on playing light tanks too, then I recommend the Sherman tank line first. I wouldn't play light tanks too much at first until you're more experienced. They are more unforgiving with less hit points. Many experienced players will recommend the tier 5 KV-1 Soviet heavy tank to learn the game. I am of the opinion that this is the first tank to grind for if you think you will enjoy heavies. I'm a heavy tank player at higher tiers, but I think the Shermans will be best for players who want mobility and fast tank play as their main playstyle. I'm not a great medium tank player, and I'm not good playing light tanks. However, at mid tiers I am okay with those two classes. At high tiers I prefer heavies. Okay, that's it from me. I'll see you next time.